I'd like to open the meeting of the Marshfield Concom. In the absence of the chair, the vice chair would like to assume the duties of the chair. Could I have a motion for that?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So Bert O'Donnell will assume the duties of the chair. Tonight's meeting will be hybrid. People can participate by
Recording
Zoom,
in progress.
but if we have a failure of electronic systems, the meeting will continue. Mike, were there any changes to the minutes?
No.
from 20?
The only minutes being approved tonight will actually be the February 7th. The December 20th appeared on there as a typo.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from February 7th, 2024.
Second? Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have continuations tonight for Trounce Island. Remember what the number is? Is it 6 Trounce Island?
Three.
3 Trounce Island. So if anybody is here for that matter, that will be continued to the next meeting. Next item on the agenda is business items. First one is B1, 480 Ferry Street. Do we have anybody here to speak on that matter? Mike, do you have anything on that?
Yes, I believe I see, is Mark Rowell on? I believe I see him on, as a participant on Zoom.
Yes, sir. Do we see Mr. Rowell on Zoom? Are you there?
He's on mute.
I'm not, there appears to be some sort of technical glitch on the town's end. My Zoom is working fine. I don't see any indication of lagging or anything like that.
Okay, he was showing there a minute ago. Did we?
Pardon me?
He was showing there a minute ago. Did we lose him?
I believe we lost it.
We might be trying to boot him
Jack
out.
was signaling me that we lost the feed.
Recording in progress.
Here we go.
Mr. Rowell, are you here on Zoom? Appears to be muted, Mike. Is that from our side or?
No, that would be from his side. I also don't see anything in the chat. It could be a different participant named Mark. But if you'd like, I can give a brief background of this property.
Yeah.
So there's a drainage pipe from Ferry Street that is supposedly causing some salinization of a wetland on 480 Ferry Street. Mr. Rowell has an ongoing order of conditions to restore that area, but has come to me indicating he's had some difficulty doing so because of the salinization from the stormwater runoff on Ferry Street. In 2017, it appears that there was a site visit conducted, but it's unconclusive what that determined and the results of that site visit. I would suggest perhaps going on site with the homeowner, the commission, and also the Marshfield engineering staff to kind of take a look at this from all different sides and come together for a solution.
Okay, I recall this slightly from 2017. Is this an active NOI?
Recording in
Yes,
progress.
there is no certificate of compliance that has been closed out for this project.
Okay, but it was registered because originally,
I actually do not believe that it was recorded. I will have to do some more research into that, but I believe one of the notes I put together indicated that it was not recorded.
For the other commissioners, this is an area of Ferry Street that always had a lot of flooding, and work was done at some point in the past that alleviated some of the flooding. But Mr. Rowell contends that a lot of it was directed on his property. There was also another drainage project done on property close by there, by the DPW. So I believe the way we left it in 2017 was we wanted to get more information from the DPW about where exactly the drains were and what this possible drain was on Mr. Rowell's property. So Mike, I think we need to follow up on that with the DPW. The
Perfect.
DPW also had an NOI in 2011, so there should be a plan about what they did then. And
Okay.
I think that could clarify that for us. Commissioners have any other comments?
I do not.
Okay, without getting any more details from Mr. Rowell, I think that's as far as we can go with this one, Mike.
Perfect.
If he happens to come up during the rest of the meeting, we can take it up at the end, but I suggest we table it for now. Other commissioners concur? All right, thank you. Item B2, 112 Marginal Street. Kevin McKim, hazardous tree removals. Have we got anybody here for that, or are you gonna handle it, Mike?
I can handle that one.
Okay,
So it's 122 Marginal Street, Kenneth McKim, hazard tree removal. There are 3 hazard trees within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. I've uploaded and put them into the presentation here. Here's one of the trees. Here's another. This one is in particularly poor condition. And then this tree right here in front of the home. This one's a little bit to the side of the home. Those 3 trees, the homeowner would like to cut those. I would suggest cutting the stump to 4 feet to allow the root system to remain in the ground.
and where are they? Are they in the buffer zone, or?
Yes, they're in the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. One of these trees is also in the applicant's front yard area. Perhaps a 4-foot stump would be unsightly, but to keep the root system in the ground would be beneficial.
Okay, so the one in the front could be cut closer to the ground, but leave the stumps in place. Leave the roots in place, I'm sorry. Any comments from commissioners?
No.
Like to make a motion to allow the removal of 3 hazardous trees at 112 Marginal Street. Have I got a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. B3, 66 Edmund Road, Russell Clark. Modification to the plan for the dock build.
Yeah, that would be me.
Yep, you want to come forward and take a seat?
Sure thing. Thank you.
Explain to us what you want to do.
I just noticed that before...
Identify yourself, please.
Oh, sure, Russell Clark, just representing for Dan Comer at 66 Edmund Road.
Okay.
And so I was hired to do a cleanup of that area, so we removed the old pier and got rid of everything and got rid of the old floats in the marsh. And, oh my God, we got rid of probably 30 years of junk. So we're looking to rebuild the pier, which there's full permission and everything, but in that order of conditions, I noticed that we're supposed to do the plantings before we build the pier. So I just came to ask if we could reverse that to do the plantings after we do the pier. in my own thought and opinion is during construction, there could be damage done to what we've planted. And I'd rather do the construction and then do the plantings, rather just do it once without the damage. So unless told different,
Okay.
that's what I'm here to ask. Relief from that. And plantings are fine, everything's perfect, it's just the order of doing it.
Mike, your comments on this?
Yes, that's exactly correct. If you'll see here, the shaded green areas on the site plan are areas of vegetative restoration. And as you can see, the dock runs directly over it. So the sequencing right now would have the plants successfully planted, and then during construction, essentially directly in the way of the work on site.
Okay, and I think the other part of that was to get all the debris from the old dock cleaned up, so you agree that's been done?
It has been. I went out on site with Mr. Clark, and we observed the conditions on site.
Thoughts on questions?
Nope. Makes sense.
Okay, then I make a motion that we allow the planting plan to be completed after the dock is in place.
Second?
We got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very kindly
Yep.
for your time, thank you.
Yeah, you should avoid doing any damage to the marsh anyway. It's,
100%. Yeah, no, we were as delicate as possible, and you do the best you can, yeah. No, make a living on the river, and believe me, we want to preserve it as much as
now with that
possible.
planting plan, we get to get it perfect afterwards, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you very kindly.
Thank you.
I'll catch up with you maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, thank you very kindly. Take care.
And B4, we have 15 Housebrook Road, Ryan Massey, hazardous tree removal. And we got anybody here for this?
I can take that one.
Okay, Mike?
I was out on this property a week or so ago. This hazard tree here, these limbs are all dead and dropping. The homeowner has a child he's concerned about, uses the backyard. And he's also looking to put in a deck here on previously existing footings, which, if there's no additional impact to the subsurface, would not require conservation permitting. But that tree here is hazardous. He had a arborist come look at it and indicated that if any more limbs were cut, the tree itself would likely die. So he's looking to just stump the tree at 4 feet, leave the root system in the ground.
Okay, and again, where is that in relation to the resource area? That's-
So this is within the 25 buffer zone to salt marsh. So just at the bottom of this grade is the salt marsh there, right on the other side of these red cedars.
Okay, and that's on the edge of the maintained lawn, is that correct?
Yes, it's on the edge of the maintained lawn. There's a small gardened area over here, pretty much adjacent to each side of that tree.
Discussion from commissioners,
I think so, no.
reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to allow the hazardous tree removal at 15 Housebrook. We got a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next item is B5, John Sherman Estates. Evening, sir.
My name is Paul Driscoll. For those who I do not know, I'm an attorney. I've been in town for decades. Don Gibson's law partner for many years. I apologize, I came to your last meeting on this issue, but I mistakenly thought it started at 7. It started at 6:30. I got here at 10 minutes to 7, and you'd already passed the issue. I'm the owner, through a trust, of the land where John Sherman Estates was created and subdivided. The original subdivision of approval required that at this stage, with all 13 lots being sold, having been sold, that the open spaces, 2 large parcels, A and B, be conveyed to the homeowners association. But the planning board requested that instead of that, that they be conveyed to the town with the care and custody of the Conservation Commission. And that I'm willing to do. So as I understand it, on the 7th of February, if that was the date of your last meeting, it was considered, and I believe, talking to Michael, that the vote that was taken was that the Conservation Commission would accept the care and custody on two conditions. Number one, that encroachments that had occurred be remedied, and number two, that the cost of those remedies would be borne by me. And that's why I'm here, because my role up there was simply as a developer, not as a builder. I bought the land, I put the roads in, I put the drainage in, I put the, all the plantings in, et cetera, et cetera. I did not build any of the houses, and I have contractors obligated to me that built any of the houses. So the encroachments that occurred, one of which is somebody extended their backyard into an open area, and there's another one where a fence was put in a position where it didn't belong. Those encroachments were done by the homeowners. So in all fairness, I asked that the ones that did the encroachments pay for the remedies. I had a meeting yesterday with Greg Guimond and with Greg Morse from Morse Engineering, and Morse has a plan showing the encroachment. I think from what he said yesterday that it's not complete, but the reality is that once it is complete, Mr. Guimond intends to meet with the homeowners where the encroachments occurred and cause them to remedy the encroachments. I believe that some of those meetings have already taken. One of the encroachments, as I said, is an extension of a backyard beyond where it should have ended. And I think that homeowner's already made an agreement with the planning board to remedy it with the planting of additional vegetation, et cetera, but they're awaiting the weather. So my limitation up there was simply what I said in selling the lots. I would also point out that probably have spent $6,000 or $8,000 with respect to requirements to satisfy the order of conditions. I have here a contract I had with Armstrong Fence for about $4,400, where I had them install 28 conservation post markers with the emblem on them. And that was done on the basis of a conservation signage plan drawn by Morse Engineering back in 2021, paid for by me, and under the auspices of Bill Grafton and his approval, which showed where those conservation markers were to be. So I paid for the engineering, I paid for them to go out based on the engineering plan and mark where the 28 markers went, and then I bought the markers and paid for them. So with respect to that, I've probably spent, with respect to my obligations up there on signage, I've probably spent, I think, I have one of these figures, but I couldn't get the other one from the engineering because it was in the midst of other engineering bills. I probably spent $7,000 or $8,000, and happy to do it because that's what my obligation was. You have asked that markers be planted, installed every 50 feet along the property lines. Within the last 4 months, I'd say Morse Engineering at considerable expenses has installed about 90 concrete bounds. So all the back boundaries of these lots where the encroachments occurred have been set, concrete bounds. So it's going to be a simple matter of running a line from one concrete bound to another to establish with precision where the line is. And that will determine how much the encroachment is. I think one of the encroachments might be as much as 15 to 20 feet into the open space. So I come here with a request that I think is simple fairness, that the ones that did the encroachment should bear the burden of remedying it. And I repeat that I have done what I was required to do and would be happy to give you a copy of the contract or the plan if you wanted to see that.
Thank you. Mike, your comments?
Yeah, so at the last meeting, it was determined that the commission would accept the two open space parcels there, G10-0101B and F10-0520A, under the conditions that the encroachments have been rectified and evidence has been supplied to the Conservation Commission, and also that that the conservation markers are placed every 50 feet.
I would just add that when the homeowners indicate that all the remedies have been accomplished, Morse is gonna go out there again and create as-built plans, which show not only the locations, but also show plantings, whatever has been done, and he'll produce those to the planning board, and obviously, if you need those, to you as well.
Recording in progress.
Mike, could open up to the other commissioners?
Oh, Mike has a comment.
Yeah, Mike?
A as-built site plan would be sufficient evidence to clear up any question of encroachment and also to pinpoint exactly where those conservation markers were put.
You mean the new ones? Because
Yes,
I
the,
have a plan that shows the 28 that were put in already, which,
Yes.
okay, I understand, thank you.
Commissioners?
Is the as-built site plan that Mr. Seeley suggested the same one that Mr. Morse is producing for the planning board?
Yes, Mr. Morse will. He's the one that's done the work up there.
Okay.
He's the one that did the conservation, proposed conservation signage plan back in January 2021, on the basis of which we installed the 28 posts in the back of the lots. And he's also done, he has started as-built plans on the lands, the individual lots where the encroachments are. So that he and the homeowners and the planning board can agree, this is where the encroachment starts.
So my thoughts on this, I don't care who fixes the encroachments, whether it's you or the homeowners. If it's done, that's fine. That's all we're looking for. Number two, previously installed conservation markers, those were to delineate wetlands and keep the setbacks from the wetlands.
Yes,
So that's separate from,
oh, I understand,
from this land.
absolutely,
The concrete bounds as lot markers.
right.
That gives us a good delineation of the separation from the homeowners' lots and the conservation land.
Sure.
So are they all straight line
Uh,
between?
Straight
bounds?
lines, but not necessarily squares or rectangles. So maybe a straight line, then it jogs 20 degrees at a straight line. There's not a lot of curvature in the lines or anything.
Yeah, but it's pretty straight in between the
Oh, sure.
concrete bounds.
Oh, yeah, he'll be able to pull the lines and show exactly where they are. Yeah,
So I mean, I think other than having the conservation tags on those bounds, they pretty much meet what we're looking for.
I would agree.
and again, he will, the planning board's as interested in this is the Concom, because when we deed the open space parcels A and B to the town, it's of course vitally important to know exactly the boundaries of the open space parcels.
Yeah. So we're still about where we were, is cure the encroachment and mark the boundaries, which it sounds like you're well on your way to doing that.
It's not a question of whether it's going to be done, it's definitely going to be done. The question is, who bears the financial responsibility of it? And that's why I'm here. What I'm saying in fairness is, I had nothing to do with laying out the backyards or committing the encroachments.
Yep.
And therefore, when, for instance, Morse does this plan, and it costs X dollars, it's going to be my position with the planning board, and I've already had those conversations with Greg Guimon, that those expenses should be borne by the one who committed the encroachments.
Okay, Mike, have you had contact with planning board about this?
I have had contact with planning board about this. No discussion has come up whether the individual lot owners would pay for the encroachment or exactly how that would be the financial responsibility of those parties essentially has not been discussed.
We had a meeting at 2 o'clock yesterday, myself and Greg Guimon and Greg Morse from Morse Engineering. And Morse brought in, we probably spent an hour in planning board office, and Morse brought in the plans that he has to date. And he was engaged by two of these lots to do as-built plans on an individual lots. So he has an as-built plan for lots 7, 9, 10, and 11, and they are in various stages of completeness. So he's going to complete those. I did not engage him to do those. My engagement with him was the whole broad subdivision.
But you have engaged him to do the concrete bounds.
Oh, they're all done. They must have been up there 3 weeks. I think there were like 90 bounds.
But
All the
that's
bu-
just recently. They weren't in place when these encroachments took place, were they?
Oh, I think they were, I think you're correct. And one of the reasons is when you develop a property like this, you don't put the bounds in early because people change the topography of their backyard. And the bounds only stick above the ground. They're rectangular, they're like a cigar box upside down. And when they're installed, they only extend above the surface of the earth about 2 inches. If you put them in early and the people change the topography of your backyard, you gotta go searching for them. So there's a certain rational stage when they put them in, and they don't put them in until pretty much the landscaping's done. As a matter of fact, it's the fact that they put them in that brought to light the encroachment.
So is the feeling that's acceptable?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay, and I think the encroachment issue, that remains to be determined. If Mr. Guimon is gonna talk to the homeowners,
Yes.
I don't think we can take a stand on that yet.
I'm here because I understood that you did take a stand. That's why I'm here. I understood that on the 7th, you voted that the financial obligation would be mine, and that's why I came in. If the way you want to leave it is be determined by somebody else, that's fine with me.
Well, I'll put it this way,
Yeah.
it's not the town's responsibility.
And no one has said it is.
Okay, I think that was our point,
Yeah.
not whether it's you or the lot owners.
Okay.
Would you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah, it would not be the town's responsibility to put up, or to create an as-built site plan or put up conservation markers for this open space.
I understand.
So do
So-
we need to take a vote that we would accept the concrete bound markers as effective
For the.
markers for
I
the,
think so, yeah. What about the financial portion?
I think we'll leave that open for now. We'll see if they can get that done with the homeowners.
Okay,
You can be assured that you'll see the final as-built plan because the town doesn't want a deed from me to open parcels A and B until everybody is in agreement
Yeah,
as to where the bounds are, and everyone's not going to be in agreement until that as-built plan is.
yeah. And the other part of that motion was that town council review all this.
Sure.
So I think we made the motion that we would accept the concrete bounds in lieu of the conservation markers, except for the conservation markers that are already in place.
Thank you.
And so that's my motion. Have I got a second?
second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
And B6 is 32 Carolyn Circle. Ed Johnson, dumpster, special conditions. Are you presenting that, Mike?
Yeah, I can present this one. So in the special conditions, general condition 17, it states that no trash dumpsters will be allowed within 100 feet of the of any areas subject to protection under the Mass Wetland Protection Act. So there is room on the parcel for a dumpster outside the 100-foot but that is essentially going to be on top of where their septic and retaining wall is proposed. So the contractor reached out and wanted to put the dumpster on the pre-existing concrete driveway in front of the house, which falls within the 100-foot buffer.
And you believe that's reasonable?
Yes, I believe that's reasonable.
Discussion?
Unless there's another place that's better, I think that's fine.
I make a motion that we allow the relocation of the dumpster on 32 Carolyn Circle. Have I got a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And that concludes the business items. We're on to the public hearings. First one up is a continued hearing, Recreational Trails Committee. Mike, are we hearing that one tonight?
They are on the schedule to be heard. I do not see their representative here. However, I will say, if you'd like me to discuss this project a bit further.
Yes, please.
At the February 26, 2024 Public Planning Board meeting, the Planning Board voted to approve the removal of the 5 trees within the street layout adjacent to 172 South River Street to accommodate the construction of the 5-foot wide stone dust walking path. The DPW, which is important to note, the DPW will have to pretty much approve of this project as well, since it is for the creation of any sidewalk or walkway in the public right-of-way. But I will note that the DPW assembled the site plan and has been to the site numerous times.
Okay, the fact that Ned's not here, it leads me to believe he wanted to continue, to wait for, oh, is that, was that message in relation to this, Mike?
No, that one was from MCTV explaining technical difficulties that we're experiencing in the studio right now.
Okay, so we've taken that one, this one through a number of hurdles. It's been in front of the planning board, that's been approved. Does it still require further work from the DPW, or are we ready to?
It does indicate that for the creation of any sidewalk or walkway in the public right-of-way, a permit is required from the Board of Public Works. However, typically when we condition one of these projects on the cover letter, since if approved with a +5 and -3 on the cover letter, will state before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, which does suggest that they would go back to the DPW and obtain that permit. But at this time, that DPW permit has not been obtained. If you'd like, I can step out and call Ned Bangs and see if he's able to join.
The other commissioners need any further information on this one?
It's been going on a while.
Yeah, I walked it with Craig and Greg Emo, planner, and Mike, and Ned Banks. We were all pretty much satisfied. We reviewed all the trees that would be taken and all the work that would be done. We were satisfied. So,
I feel comfortable that you guys did that. Yeah.
okay. I would make a motion to close the hearing and issue a positive number 5 and a negative number 3. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Mike, any outstanding special conditions on this?
Yes, for a +5, -3 on the cover letter of the permit, we indicate that the applicant should ensure best management practices are followed, before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, and to see the conservation administrator or agent for guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the approved work activities.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, next hearing was 3 Trounce Island, and for anybody that missed that, this has been continued to the next meeting. Next one is a new RDA, so I'll read the legal notice. Compliance with Wetland Protection Act, Wednesday, March 6th, to consider requests for termination of applicability filed by, excuse me,
I hear you.
Mark McGrath, 1215 South River Street, Marshfield, to determine whether the area depicted on plans or maps referenced below is an area subject to jurisdictional Wetlands Protection Act. Jurisdiction of any municipal wetland ordinance or bylaws of the town of Marshfield at 1215 South River Street. And the hearing officer is Jesse.
All right. Mike, have all taxes and fees been met on this
Yes, taxes, fees, and all administrative requirements have been
one?
met.
Okay, great. All right, and this work is within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands with an intermittent stream. Is anyone here to present this work?
Yes, it's Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Mark.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
So about this house the house was built in 1997 and it has the original deck on it. And it's time for a new deck. And instead of just replacing it, I wanted to extend the deck a little bit to the edge of the house, not to past the edge of the house, but to the edge of the house. And maybe make it like a covered porch with a screen. I went to the conservation department, I spoke to Mike, and they informed me that I should seek a wetland scientist to come out, so I hired South River Environmental. They came out and they put like a wetland delineation out there. And he looked at a proposed plan that I had a contractor build that I submitted with to Mike and to the conservation department. So I submitted a proposed plan, plus I submitted like a wetland summary form from South River Environmental saying that I am not closer than 25 feet to the buffer zone. My house was built in 97, so I have like that 25 footer, and I'm not infringing on that at all. So I just wanted to make sure I had a permit before I started any work, and I visited the conservation department since I've been there before due to my property. I have uplands and wetlands.
Okay. Thank you. Mike, did you have any comments on this?
Yes, so there is a sort of like bay window off the back of the house. Essentially, that roof would be extended, and a screen porch would be installed there, and then there will be also a deck. I'll pull up the blueprints here; it'll be easier to explain. So yes, off the end of the house there will be the new screen porch, and then there will be an open deck away from the wetlands on the other side of that new structure. And importantly to note, up to 6 sonotube footings could be required for this project.
Rather than the 4 that was originally?
Yes,
Yep.
After doing a site visit with conservation agent Liz Anoia, myself, and the homeowner, we determined that it's possible more than the 4 sonotube footings would need to be utilized. So we would be, the homeowner is requesting that 6 sonotube footings be captured by the permit.
Okay. All right. And then the only other thing that we had talked about was the 5 conservation markers that would be
Yes.
needed on this from a previous, so they came before the board before for a different permit.
Yes,
And-
they did.
Okay, and there were 5 conservation markers to be installed that you didn't see out there?
Yep, under determination of applicability, 2012, there was a shed relocation permit that was issued, and it was conditioned that 5 conservation markers be mounted on 4-inch by 4-inch by 4-foot posts, and there are no markers out there currently.
Okay. All right, so, Mark, would that be, could we get 5 conservation markers installed on the property as part of this determination?
Yeah, I think that's not a problem. The question, I have a quick question for you. I didn't get those stickers, whatever you guys are referring to. I think I can check my paperwork, but I remember speaking to, not Jay Wennemer, the person after Jay Wennemer, and they said I was gonna need some markers there, and he wanted me to put them in the front on the other side of my creek. And he said, I think he and I were discussing those markers, because I was like, I'm not sure why I'm putting markers up in the front of my property when I moved the shed in the back and I'm not doing any work in the front. So I was kind of like talking to him about that. And I think during those talks, I don't think I ever got the stickers. The stickers he said was supposed to put on like a post or something like that. And then that's sort of like, he said just put them on the other side of the creek, which is, again, I'm kind of baffled by it, because it's on the front of the house, but my shed, the reason I moved the shed in the first place was my shed was in the backyard and it was on my lawn. I showed Mike and Liz, who came out to my house for the other site plan, and I had like a couple of those like those little poles that you use for like the snow plow so they don't damage your driveway. I showed them that's where the shed was, and what happens there is a low part of my property in Telegraph Hill now, instead of having a retention pond, sends all their water down my property. And in certain, really bad storms, or I should say a lot of rain, that area floods. So I wanted to move my shed, and I moved my shed from the backyard, literally, to the other side of the backyard, but to a higher part of it, so it's a higher grade. And my neighbor got upset with me, and that's how this whole thing started. So I'm kind of like upset that I've had to go through this whole process, to be honest with you, because I think the shed, when I bought the house, already had a permit. It was on like the town thing where I actually paid taxes on the shed. So I'm not sure why that was such a big deal, but yeah, I can do whatever you guys want, but I don't know why the front was even mentioned.
Where were the markers supposed to?
There was no site plan under the previous permit determination of applicability 20-12. It was up to the discretion of the administrator or agent. Typically, when conservation markers are put out in that type of fashion, either myself or Agent Anoya would go out and just direct generally how to put them in, evenly spaced around the perimeter of the yard is typically what's directed. Yeah.
So you could direct him on where
Yes.
to put those 5 markers?
Yes.
Okay. Does that sound okay to you, Mark?
It sure does.
Okay. All right, great. And then the only other comments were, I just wanted to point out, so the building commissioner, so this will require a building permit. And then the Board of Health had no issues as long as this was, the septic tank and pump chamber are not disturbed and any foundation is no closer than 10 feet.
So on that topic, I've been trying to have this done actually for years. I spoke with Liz maybe several years ago about getting a permit for the deck, and like to make sure I was in compliance with everything. I had I'm not sure what the name of the company was again, but it's a Marshfield company come out and they replaced my septic line, completely replaced my septic line. They replaced my septic tank covers with steel. They gave me a Title V. That's all in anticipation, so I could get the deck going, so I didn't have to disturb the deck after it gets constructed. So yeah, all that stuff is set. And the proposed plan that I have, that wasn't me who drew it. That was a builder who works for the town of Marshfield, and he said there's no problem with that. So.
Right, that's just something I just wanted to point out to you, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so I have like literally 2 years ago, I replaced the whole line out to my house because it was pitched from the soil like going down. So they had to replace the whole pipe for me.
Okay. Any commissioners have any comments on this one?
No, I'm
No.
I'm familiar with this property from the previous work, and I think it's acceptable.
All right, I'm assuming we are all set with, on Zoom here. Is anyone on Zoom or in the audience that has any comments on this? Okay. All right, then I move to close the hearing and issue the determination of applicability. Mike, was this a +5, -3,
Yes.
-5?
Just positive
Just-
5 and -3.
-3, okay. And then what conditions are we putting in with that?
So in the cover letter, we would include, ensure best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, see the conservation administrator or agent for guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the approved work activities, and the placement of those 5 conservation markers as noted in the hearing.
Great. Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
Well, can I ask a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
So once I get this RDA, like, I can just give this to the town hall, like, for the building permit, right? And then I can hire the builder, right? I mean, that's all I need to do, really?
Yes.
The building department doesn't need to work with conservation, right? As long as I have this, the building department will issue me the building permit?
That's correct.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Okay, next one up is 0 Plain Street, new hearing. I'll read the legal ad. Compliance with regulations, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection Act. A public hearing will be held by Marshfield Concom on Wednesday, March 6th, to request for determination of applicability for Ryan Fraser, to determine whether the work, construction, of self-storage warehouse depicted on the plan is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. And I am the hearing officer. Have we got somebody here to present this project?
Yeah, Kevin Grady, Grady Consulting.
Okay, we can hear you. Can you speak up just a little bit?
Sure. Is that better?
Good.
You guys are a little hard to hear too, but I'll try to project for you. The project, we filed an RDA for the proposed construction within the wetlands resource area buffer zone. The wetlands resource area in this case is an isolated vegetated wetland on the abutting property. The isolated vegetated wetlands protectable under the Town of Marshfield Wetlands Protection Bylaw. The buffer zone clips a small portion of the Ryan Frasca's property, approximately 1,700 square feet of it. So at the outer limit of the buffer zone, it clips a piece of the driveway that is proposed to access the self-storage building. So the site plan has been through planning board, and it has site plan approval. The stormwater has been reviewed by Pat Brennan. Nitrogen loading was reviewed by the consultant for nitrogen loading. Essentially what happens on the driveway here is stormwater will land on that driveway, and along the right-hand side, there's Cape Cod berm that will keep the water from heading toward that IVW. It will go through catch basins, deep sump-footed catch basins, and then it will go to that square subsurface infiltration system that's located in the front yard there. It's a pretty large rectangle. It says 66 by 72. Yep. So any water that comes off of the driveway will be treated and recharged. So we don't think that the project will have any adverse impacts to that IVW. The land has actually already been cleared. The applicant got permission from the previous commission to clear the land, and now we're just proposing to develop it. The red line along the right-hand property line is silt sock to mitigate any erosion and sedimentation. We basically put it around the entire perimeter of the site, but obviously we also have it within the buffer zone. And I'll be happy to take any questions if you have.
Thank you. Your comments, Mike?
Yes, as noted, a portion of this driveway clips the 100-foot buffer zone. The stormwater has been reviewed and approved by the planning department. And it appears that maybe one or two remaining white pines might have to come down just beyond the 100-foot buffer in proximity to that wetland. But that wasn't noted in the site plan, or just observations from the field with the agent and myself.
Okay, and any special conditions with this?
Yes, I would ensure that best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, and see the conservation administrator or agent for guidance on permits for work beyond the approved work activities.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions from commissioners? I think really planning has a lot more input on
Yep.
this than we do, and they've already had their crack at it. So I'd like to make a motion to, actually, are there any comments from the public, either in the room or on Zoom? I hear none. I'd like to make a motion to issue a +5 and a -3. Have I got a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great, thanks for your time, everybody.
Okay,
Thank
good
you.
night.
Have a good night.
And next one is 1215 South River Street. It's a new hearing, compliance with Regulation Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. A public hearing will be held by a Conservation Commission to consider a request for determination of applicability. Actually,
Nope.
I'm sorry. It's a request for amended order of conditions for 1121 South River Street. And I think I have everything, and Jesse is the hearing officer.
All right. Mike, have abutters been notified, taxes and fees been met?
Yes, taxes, fees, and abutters have been verified.
Okay, all right, great. Take it away.
Good evening, Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. So yes, this project, as you may remember, was previously approved for a large addition that was put on the back of the existing house. As part of that addition, there was a garage with it. It was a drive-under garage. Just working the site, and the ground conditions and the soil conditions there are just not suitable for something below grade like that, or any kind of drive even at grade below grades, for the garage. So the addition still remains the same footprint, but they're proposing to put a detached garage on the property. So we're seeking to amend our original orders with this proposed detached garage positioned as shown on the plan. It's exactly 65.5 feet from the wetland area. We positioned it as close to the building, it'll have to be 10 feet off the structure and 10 feet off the property line, so it's pretty much right where it can go in that position. A few trees there that you probably noticed that will be coming down. I believe they'd be coming down, were before this project, but personally, those big spruce trees are probably hazards to that structure, but Beyond that, the garage is going in the existing kind of disturbed lawn area that's out behind there, and that's what we're hoping to do tonight, is just amend our order to include this detached garage.
Thank you. Mike, do you have any comments?
Yes, so the proposed detached garage would be in buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands, be approximately 28 feet by 30 feet, and would be in a pre-disturbed lawn area. As Mr. Savant mentions, a few of those large mature trees would be in the limit of work.
Okay. All right, does any of the commissioners have any comments on this? Anyone from the audience or on Zoom?
Actually, one question for Rick.
Yes.
Where you have the erosion control,
Yes.
down towards the south end of the lot, that's pretty much in natural condition. Do they intend to keep that way?
Where the erosion control is,
Beyond the erosion control?
beyond the erosion
Yeah.
control? Up by the street, you say on the south end of the lot, by the proposed garage?
Towards the wetlands?
Beyond the erosion control, there's no proposed
Okay.
modifications at all.
You mean on the yard side or into the?
This
into
area
the-
here,
Right.
you know, this is all pretty natural, so if that can stay that way.
Right, they don't
That's the limit of work.
intend to.
Yep, that's the proposed
into
limit of
the-
work, and that line has been the same through the first phase of the project, but yes. No, that, best of my knowledge, there isn't, that is the limit of work line.
Okay. I mean, I don't have any comments on this. It's within pre-disturbed area. You're meeting all the setbacks. Of course, the mature trees having to come down are, too bad. But, and let's see. If he has any comments, I'm okay with this. So I am going to move to close the hearing with the amended order of conditions to include the original conditions with the original NOI. Any additional conditions that we want to include on this?
Not that were mentioned at the
Okay.
hearing. It would just be the orders of condition that, the special conditions for the orders of condition SE 423048.
Okay, all right. Okay, can I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You bet.
That concludes the hearings for tonight. Next item is the request for COCs. Mike, which ones of these are active tonight? Are any of these ready to go, or are they all?
There has been no development on 1 Atlantic nor 162 Bay Ave. However, 16 East Street and 84 Bartlett's Island Way are new certificate of compliance requests. And importantly, 16 East Street is requesting a waive from their as-built site plans.
Okay, so as far as 1 Atlantic Street and 162 Bay Ave, I'd like to make a motion to table those for tonight.
Second.
I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
And 16 East Street, Mike, exactly what are we looking at here?
So we are looking at a request for a waiver for the as-built plan for 16 East Street. The project is 20 years old, and it involved removing a dilapidated shed, which has since been replaced with a much smaller shed, constructing a deck, and installing a fence in 2004. Agent Anoy and myself went on site. Everything appeared to be as proposed. There was a small shed that was placed in proximity to the one that was demolished, and yes, the homeowner is seeking a refinance and is in the process of refinancing the home.
So the original plan, the work done was substantially,
It was substantially
Compliance.
accurate, yes.
Commissioner satisfied with that? Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to issue the COC for 16 East Street. Have I got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And 84 Bartlett's Island Way, Mike?
Yes. The 18 by 24 proposed addition has been completed. It was actually completed slightly smaller than proposed at about 18 by 14 feet. There's a small utilities area on the side of the addition, but what I observed was that it was pervious, allowing for water to kind of pass through in between those mechanical devices and that utility. I'm not sure what to call this structure, but yes. I believe it was like an
I'm just
HVAC.
looking at the building commissioner's comments here. Based on that recommendation by the building commissioner, I think we should table this for the time being.
Perfect. That sounds reasonable.
Until we get further input from the building commissioner.
Right.
Other commissioners concur with that?
Yes.
Make a motion that we table 84 Bartlett's Island Way. A second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
That concludes our meeting for tonight. Thank you all.